Okay, everybody. So, I've just been going through a lot of stuff lately, and I've just not been feeling well in a while, and, well, now I know why. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm just sitting out here on the porch. I'm exhausted. I haven't slept much in days, and I was up most of the night prepping and stuff for this endoscopy and colonoscopy and all that stuff, and how do I say this? There's a lot going on. A lot going on. You can go and do all the research I just did, and I already talked to the doctors, and so I should have all the lab results back in a week. They didn't want to jump to conclusions yet. That garbage stinks. I'm sorry, I'm just so tired. So basically, they did a lot of pathology. They did a lot of, I'm in a lot of pain. They did a lot of biopsies from top to bottom because they found a bunch of stuff. And so we have to wait for the pathology to come back to see if it's cancerous or not. It's, they don't know, they don't want to worry me or whatever right now, but, until they get the results back. And it's not just the cancer thing we're looking at. We're looking at a lot of issues, and I'm kind of mad because I've had these endoscopies and stuff done. This is probably my fifth one over the years, and a lot of this was not noticed or not taken seriously until now. And so, people put me in I've been going through a lot of health issues and stuff that now I have all the dots connected that I could start working on treatment plans and stuff, but we didn't know all of these things, right? So, I'm just going to go through what they found, and then you can do all the research, because it's a lot of research, to explain all these medical terms, and I'll try to break it down for you. But, and a lot of people probably don't even know that they have this. They didn't want to explain too much to me until they get the lab results back. And then they said, talk to your doctor when she gets the results. We don't want to say, you're fine, whatever. We don't, just go home. They just rushed me out of there. And I'm a little mad because they rushed me out of there when, according to this paperwork, I should have been admitted to the hospital today because of something that they found. And it says admit to hospital for 72 hours when you find this. And I found that out online. But, of course, they were just in a rush to, I have no good insurance. I'm on the state. I was accused at first of not having a job when they first took me in. Oh, I see you don't have a job. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I work 7 days a week, and I actually work 5 days a week for one client. Yes, I work. Oh, well, because you have state insurance. I'm like, oh, so you presume that I'm an unemployed, overweight, fat, just person because I don't have a job? Because I'm on Husky Medicaid D, that you think I'm on state insurance. So basically they don't really get paid, and so I must just be a loser who doesn't work. Gotcha. Yeah, no, I bust my butt, actually, and it's never enough. But anyway, okay, so that aside, these people have the bedside manners of a Nazi. Alright, so we'll start with the endoscope. Findings. Examined esophagus. Biopsies were obtained from the proximal and distal esophagus. I had to look all that up. With cold forceps for histology to have it tested. For suspected eosinophilic esophagitis. That is, there's a lot of things that could be, but basically I looked into it and it was very complicated. It makes sense that I have thyroid disease and Hashimoto's thyroiditis. That's probably one of the causes of this. Also the gastritis and possible celiac disease. And I have a low immune system, a naturally low immune system where my body is attacking itself. And so therefore it makes scar tissue and stuff. And it causes other problems because my body's always... They asked me, do you have fevers all the time? And I'm like, no, why? And they're like, because you have serious autoimmune disease, and you also have... Well, I'll get to it in a minute. Okay, so we found that. They're going to get the biopsies have to come back to make sure, because they don't know if it's cancer or if it's just, esophagitis, suspected eosinophilic. It could be cancer. It could be anything. So we got to get that. Also, which would explain why I'm having throat issues. Okay, then they said that they examined the stomach. Biopsies were taken for H. pylori, basically, Heliobacter testing. They found a single localized, now this bothers me now, because technically you're supposed to be hospitalized for 72 hours if they find this. Single localized 5 millimeter erosion with stigmata of recent bleeding found in the cardia. Biopsied and sent for histology. Now, what that means is an erosion is not an ulcer. It's an ulcer is in some ways worse because it can go through all three layers of the stomach or esophagus and cause perforation and damage. This is just an erosion. However, this erosion was stigmata, and this wasn't a minimal stigmata. It was a, how did they put it? Erosive with basically a lot of bleeding. A lot. Significant bleeding. Constant bleeding. Which causes fatigue, edema, anemia, which is why I'm so tired all the time, and I'm smelling blood and tasting blood and coughing up blood. Well, because it's down here in the cardia region of the stomach, right before the esophagus goes into the stomach, and it's been perpetually bleeding into my stomach. So I'm eating my own blood at an alarming rate. And so it says that they use cold forceps. I don't know if they stopped the bleeding or if it's still bleeding. They didn't specify that. Usually they don't stop bleeding on their own, and so you have to monitor that. Otherwise, it has to be cauterized or something, which is a surgery. So that's a gastropathy with stigmata and bleeding. Biopsied. Also, they did a they found in the second portion of the duodenum, which is the part of your stomach. It's the first part of your intestine, where it's the most important part and the most dangerous part of your intestine, where all the chemicals and acid and the most pungent bacteria is to really start the digestive process. So they found that they biopsied it for evaluation of celiac disease. So we're basically waiting for all these biopsies. They said call the GI clinic for pathology results in a week. Diagnosis, gastrointestinal hemorrhage with significant stigmata, unspecified. Left upper quadrant pain, dysphagia, unspecified. So they didn't explain this to me until I read deeper into this. I didn't know I had dysphagia, but that would explain why every time I'm eating or drinking, it's going right into my lungs. Apparently, dysphagia happens. What is odonophagia? That's another thing. I didn't even look that up yet. I just saw that now in the upper left quadrant. Okay. Odonophagia. So I got to look that one up too. But that was in the upper left quadrant. I missed that. Anyway, so basically, dysphagia is when you have a narrowing of your throat. It could be from throat cancer. It could be from acid reflux disease over the years, building scar tissue. It could be from the surgeries they did on my neck, scar tissue. It could be from thyroid disease, which I have, thyroid cancer. So they had to biopsy to figure out why I have such a narrowing dysphagia issue in my neck. So again, in a week, we'll know if there's throat cancer or some other issue with that. Now, that was just the endoscopy. Now it gets even better. Here we go with the colonoscopy. And I love how they show photos, but they don't show the photos of actually the parts that they biopsied. They only show the healthy parts, unless that big green mass is part of the thing that they biopsied. That doesn't look good, actually. So, okay, maybe I can see the alarm. Oh, okay, I see it. I see the polyps. It's just not very clear. Okay. So anyway, there's a big, large green part in one of the images in my colon. That's not good. That could be colon cancer. They biopsied it. Now, here's the thing that I learned. So let me just explain this to you. There's like two different kinds of polyps. All polyps can become cancerous, but the ones that really are the problem, which are hard to indicate until they become cancerous, and they removed a bunch of them today from me. Apparently, I thought that I had a specific kind of polyp, which was like, it looks like a stem of broccoli. It comes up like a little tree, it's like a stem. But apparently, that's not the kind of polyps I've been having removed. Nobody told me this. I've been having what's called sessile polyps, and they didn't specify whether it was serrated or not, just sessile. And sessile are the real dangerous ones because they're long and flat, and they're hard to detect unless you know what you're looking at in a good colonoscopy. So just a word on the side here, this is something that happened. They called me late last night to tell me, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to mention the doctor's name because there's more to the story, but we have to change doctors last minute. I'm sorry. Do you still want to do it? I'm like, I'm in the middle of prepping. Yeah, we're doing it. I don't care who Mickey Mouse does it at this point. You're making me drink this toxic garbage. It's making me sick. We're going to do this, dead or alive. I don't care. And so she said, okay, just want to make sure. We have a better, older doctor. He's more well-versed in what he does. So I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, great. Last minute, this doctor bails out. They won't tell me why. I heard why, because the nurses were talking outside my curtain, which was very unprofessional, but very good for me. So I had to wait an extra hour for my surgery. They bumped me up first, because this doctor apparently was supposedly bragging about how he's been going with no sleep for days. And the nurses were complaining how tired they are, and this and that. And he's like, I can go for another 72 hours. Why are you guys complaining? I'm ready to go. Apparently, he passes out during the day yesterday, during a surgery or something. And I was rushed off campus or whatever. So that's not good. Can you imagine a young doctor, probably just out of medical school, really thinks who he is, caffeinated, whatever. Oh, I got it. I could do 6 more surgeries. Do you want somebody like that doing a risky procedure on you? Well, that's what happened. So before I found this out, this morning I prayed. I'm like, Lord, I don't feel good about this. Is this a good thing or a bad thing that this I'm changing doctors last minute? Then I got this sense of peace saying, it's a good thing for you. You'll see why, but I'm arranging a better doctor for you. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust that. Jesus, no matter what, good or bad, I trust you. I'm scared, but I trust you. Turns out, we get this other doctor, older man, very good at what he does, but he actually was taking so long in the other building doing another procedure that he held up everybody. The nurses were complaining about, oh, we got Dr. So-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and he just takes so long, and blah, 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 blah. He's holding up the whole thing, we're just sitting around doing nothing, whatever. But it turns out the man is thorough, and I'm glad I got him, because he's been doing it for many years, and he found all these things that these other doctors might have not even found in me. So I think it's a blessing to finally get to the bottom of some of this, because these diseases that I'm going to mention here that they found are linked to why I have a fatty liver with bile issues. Nobody's getting to the bottom of this. Again, I have bad insurance, so nobody really cares. And so you got to do your own work. And I've always self-diagnosed, and I've always been right. It took years for the right specialist to say, how did you know that you had this? I do my own research, and I've never been wrong. And I have diseases like 1 in a million, like Chiari malformation in the brain. It took me 6 specialists before one specialized in the field and said, I told him, I'm like, I think I have Chiari malformation. This is why. He found it. And he's like, you do? How did you know? Dr. G, medical examiner, skeleton stories, watching TV. I had all the symptoms, and I'm like, finally, that's what I'm going through. But nobody ever listened to me because it was so rare and they didn't know about it back in the day 20 years ago. So you could imagine the doctors I had to go through for so many years since childhood because they couldn't find a very simple issue that nobody knew about in the back of the brain. Once we figured it out, the surgeries that I needed, it really solved a lot of my suffering and problems, but we had to find the right person to diagnose it, and that was hell. So, alright, so now, okay, so this guy finds a lot of stuff. Now, every other colonoscopy and endoscopy, oh, we removed a few polyps, you're fine. But I'm not fine. I'm getting worse, I'm getting sicker, the pain's getting worse. This is like my 5th colonoscopy and endoscopy over since I was 22, 20 years old. Now, all of a sudden, oh, all these problems. You're telling me all this happened between 2018 and now? I highly doubt it. But it also explains why I was so sick and hospitalized for a week in 2020 with a colitis-type bacterial infection that almost killed me. And I ended up leaving because I didn't want to spend another night waiting for pathology results. I had to go home. And so I left, and then I found out months later, nobody even told me. I forgot what it was called, but it was a bacteria, and it was a very dangerous bacteria and very rare bacteria that children often get. I forgot what it was called, but basically if you don't wash your hands and you're wiping your butt and then you're eating a sandwich, you can get very sick. So they told me that I got this because somebody didn't wash their hands, or somehow human fecal matter must have gotten in my food or something I ate, and I got very sick. So you got to be careful when you're at restaurants. So people don't wash their hands, or they do things intentionally, and you're screwed. And it almost killed me because I have a low immune system. I don't have AIDS, but I do have multiple autoimmune diseases that are genetic. One of them is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So my body's constantly sick and fighting itself, and you feel like you have the flu every single day, your whole life. It's very difficult. It's hard to diagnose. People think you're lazy. And you can't figure out why you're depressed and mentally irritable and so tired, and you can never sleep, and you're sick all the time, and you're in pain all the time, because your body is going in a chaos mode, it's white blood cells, it's fighting itself, it's attacking itself. So now we find I have another rare disease. And I'm really concerned about this, because I diagnosed myself with this about a year or so ago, and people are like, oh, no. Well, guess what? Now we found it. Okay. So I'm going to get to it. So let's just read this quickly. I don't want to hold you guys up. But this is important to know because you guys might have these things as well. And, sorry, poor quality camera here. Okay, whoops, hold on. You guys might have these things as well, and you don't even realize it. So at least you know what you're dealing with, okay? So, it says, findings for the colonoscopy now. Terminal ileum appear biopsied, the colon biopsied, entire colon examined. Biopsies for histology were taken with cold forceps for evaluation of microscopic colitis. Now, I was told I had colitis, possible colitis and Crohn's a couple years ago, and diverticulosis. Well, they found that I do have diverticulosis still. I just haven't had litis yet, where it's actually bleeding and making me very ill yet. But that will happen eventually. It's just a matter of time. My grandmother had it. My dad had it. It was a very horrible thing when it does happen. You get very sick. Your fevers. You can end up hospitalized. You lose a lot of blood. It's because basically you have these pockets throughout the lining of your intestines. And they hurt and they fill with blood like blisters. And if you have a seed or something sharp, popcorn, whatever, it could either get lodged in there and cause an infection, and then your immune system goes crazy, and you have an infection, and it forms like a polyp, like a what do you call it, a festering wound inside, and then it bleeds, and it's just horrible. And these things also usually go hand in hand with colitis, and then it goes into ulcerative colitis. Ulcerative colitis, you can have a colostomy bag, basically. So I have colitis, and I found out finally, nobody told me this before, what is colitis? Well, I looked it up, but nobody told me that it's caused by bacteria. So there's certain, and they still don't know why. They don't know what causes it completely, but a lot of cases of colitis, which can go into ulcerative, and also this other thing that I'll tell you about soon. But a lot of people have multiple internal diseases in their bowel diseases, basically. They just call it IBS, bowel disease, but there's so many different kinds, and you got to know which one so you can understand why it's happening and why other issues. Because this doesn't just affect your intestines, and it's very painful. It affects your liver. It affects your whole body's out of line. I'm getting malabsorption apparently from my food. So when I eat, it's like most of it doesn't even get absorbed. Why I started naturopathic stuff and juicing, and I'm feeling better lately because I'm actually getting the nutrients finally that otherwise I wouldn't be getting, which is why I'm always hungry, and I'm not losing weight, and I'm not getting better, and no matter what I eat, my vitamin levels are low, and it's like, what are you talking about? I'm eating healthy, and no, you can't be. Yes, I am. There's a problem. I'm not absorbing stuff because of colitis and stuff like that. Okay, so moving right along, we have, they found internal hemorrhoids and stuff like that, which that's embarrassing, but internal, and they're painful. Let's see. We had a fissure, of course, that was from all the prep and, constantly using your, what. I start bleeding. But they also noticed I was bleeding a lot, and they didn't know where it was coming from. They found sessile polyps in the rectosigmoid colon, 3 millimeters in size. So they removed them completely, and they're going to send them for biopsy. And they even did a resection and retrieval before sending it out to pathology. They didn't tell me why, but when I looked it up, okay, and I talked to a nurse friend, I found out that they only do that when they think it might be cancerous. So we might have caught it in time. They removed it. But these type of sessile polyps are the ones who most often lead to cancer. And get this, because I have these, and I also have colitis, that explains why I now have prostatitis really bad that I've been being treated. I'm on meds for enlarged prostate, and it's very painful. So I have that surgery coming up. That I got to do a scope again, and that's really painful next month. And they're trying to get to the bottom of why this is happening. I'm having trouble urinating and stuff without meds. It could be cancer, and sometimes if you get prostate cancer, it will spread to the colon or vice versa. They're right next to each other. Okay. Now, on a side note, this is probably not important, but considering everybody's LGBT these days, you might want to know something. Now, pay attention. Now, I don't know how to say this, but there's a reason why God doesn't like sodomy, okay? This is for men and women. First of all, they don't tell you all these things. Not only can you get HIV and every other disease under the sun. Hold on a minute. Of course, let me move now because we gotta have construction going on next to my trailer every day. Oh, shut up! Okay, so let me go inside. I want to tell you this. Oh, hold on, guys. Yeah.
Oh.
What?
Move that so I gotta move a can.
Yeah. Where do you want me to put it? Maverick!
Right here? Can you?
On the grass? No, but all these parking. Can I park it down there?
Yeah, move it next to the teeth.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
All right, let me get my keys. Maverick, stop! Hold on, guys. I got to make part 2 of the video because I got to move my car now for some construction. But listen, anyway, before I do this, I just want to, so I don't lose you on this. It's very important, and I'm not trying to make a biblical thing out of this, but this is why God doesn't like sodomy. Okay, think about this now, and it all made sense now. Not only can you get AIDS and all these other things, right? A lot of people are getting bowel diseases, colitis, hemorrhoids, all kinds of stuff because prostatitis, prostate cancer. When somebody who's infected with colitis, okay, it's actual bacterial disease that they can't cure it. It's spreadable, and there's multiple kinds of it. And so if you're having anal sex and then you put that in your mouth or in another part of your body or in someone else's body, automatically you're spreading. Even the person who's the person doing the penetration, they're getting the disease into their urethra, causes prostate issues, urethra issues, bladder infection. They might not even know they have it if they have a good infection. And then they spread it to other people and they get it themselves, okay? It's very vile and disgusting. So you need to understand that God knows all these things, but man does not. And there's a reason why he doesn't want certain things done, even though it might feel good and everybody's doing it and glorifying it. It's very dirty. And it defiles your whole body. It can make you very sick. It causes all kinds of internal diseases. 99% of the people having gay sex and stuff like that probably have these intestinal diseases and worse. And they're spreading them like wildfire. And now it's becoming known that years later now, there's a connection because everybody's doing it now. Everybody's doing these sodomy and stuff now. It's becoming normal. And so it's spreading like wildfire. This is why God doesn't like it, because this body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit needs to live in here, and it needs to be clean, holy, and healthy. And if you're damaging your body by doing these things and making yourself sick, because sin causes death, sin causes illness, well, this is why God is another reason why He doesn't like it, because you're spreading bacteria, you're spreading diseases, you're spreading AIDS, you're spreading all kinds of stuff without even knowing it. And millions of people are being infected a year. And it damages the body. And God will not put His Holy Spirit in a body that is a defiled temple. Because if you're sick, Jesus feels the illness too. If you're in pain and suffering and sick, He feels it. If you have cancer, He feels it. If your sin is causing you to have these illnesses, it's your fault because of your sin. Okay? And I'm not saying I did this, I'm just saying in general. So that was made very clear to me today. After doing all this research, I had no idea, never thought about it. People are transmitting bacterial infections, disease, all kinds, orally, anally. No, sex is very dirty unless it's done properly at the right time of month, God's way. That's why He says even when you're married, you can't just do whatever you want with each other, because the bodies are still to be holy temples, and it's meant to be done a certain way that God ordered it, and if you do it any other way than the way He told you to do it, you're going to get sick. So stay tuned to part 2 so I can finish the rest of what I was trying to complete in this video.